Okay, this is much better. So I hope you see and are starting to log in. Let me watch and see if you guys are logging in. If you can hear me, please go ahead and try to make a comment. I just want to make sure that you guys have reconnected. I'm not seeing anybody come back over onto this side, and it's time is getting on, so do tune in. Okay, come on. There's one person who has joined us back. Two. Can you guys go ahead and register for me just by typing your name in the chat, so I know that you're hearing me okay and everything is good? Yeah, I want to see a couple more people join us. I mean, it's really unfortunate because, we were getting people coming in and so on, but I had to close off, and now we're getting persons logging back on, so that's good. Hi, Auntie Elaine, how are you? All right. We're at about 5 now. Again, I'm going to ask anyone who is on tonight, I'm going to ask that you indicate your name in the chat section so that I know you are on. Okay, good. I think we can go ahead and get started now. And hopefully, as we go along, others will be able to join us and hear us. Others will be able to hear us and join us. So the bottom line is, hi Kenisha. All right. So let me just turn down the music here and we can get started. Hey Tracy. All right, good. Hi Judith, hello. All right, so we're building up some numbers now. Boy, I was worried there if anyone was going to be able to find me. So for those who weren't aware, I was on before and there was a long delay between when I would say something and when you will hear it. And so I tried to change the setting in order for you to hear it closer to real time. So that when I'm interacting, we're not having persons responding 45 seconds or a minute after I've asked a question. So I had to change the setting, but in order to change that setting, I would first have had to shut down the system. And so I had to shut down that first stream. Now we're back up, and persons are now reconnecting to us. But that reconnection process is going a little bit slow, but here we go. All right, so we're going to start by looking at the topic at hand, which is 7 keys to getting and staying well. The 7 keys to getting and staying well. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. The 7 keys to getting and staying well. Now I have to admit, I'm very tired, as it were, but hopefully we can still get through this pretty quickly. All right, and pretty smoothly. And I hope you appreciate and understand what we shall discuss tonight. It is my intention and my hope that you will find this session meaningful, enjoyable, enlightening, and so on and so forth. So let us try to jump right into it now, as the time is already getting on. So the topic is the 7 keys to getting and staying well. The 7 keys to getting and staying well. Now, Many persons might not be aware that I spend quite a bit of time trying to educate persons in our community. We try to educate our patients, and we use this medium to do that. But on Facebook, we also have a show that we do once a week. It's not really done on Facebook, but it's streamed on Facebook. And I'm really considering streaming it here as well on YouTube. And that is our show called Back to Health Talk Show. It's a show on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Jamaica time, and we stream it to anyone who is able to connect via Facebook, and I hope that we can do so via YouTube as well. And we shall try it and see if persons log on to make it kind of worthwhile. So we shall see. Alright, so the 7 keys to getting and staying well. Let us begin. In understanding health, you have to understand a few basic things about what health offers, or the healthcare system offers, and what it doesn't offer. And what I find is that there are a lot of persons who are disappointed or frustrated with the system. But their frustration with the system is not because the system is, filled with disappointments, but rather the system is limited in what it can offer. It has a particular focus, and because of this focus, if you are pursuing or going to be a part of the system, or trying to encounter the system or engage the system in a way that differs from how the system is designed, you are going to be setting yourself up for disappointment. You're going to be setting yourself up for failure. And we do not want that. We don't want that at all. Now, what do we want? Or what do we want to have happen? Well, we want people to make wise choices. And how are they going to make wise choices? They make wise choices by understanding how the system works and what the system offers. So the first thing is you need to understand the difference between sick care and healthcare. And when we talk about healthcare, we're talking about the system that we try to engage whenever there's an emergency situation, a crisis of some sort, and we need help to save our lives or what have you. The healthcare system, as we understand it, has a flaw, and I'll call it a flaw if you are a healthy person wanting to maximize your health. If you do not already have a disease, the system cannot help you because it is not designed for you. The system is not designed for healthy people. The system is not designed for people who are trying to live a wellness lifestyle. That is not who the system is designed for. And so my saying that if you're trying to achieve optimal health, that the healthcare system is not the way to go, you have to understand that it's because that's not how it is designed. When you have a hospital, you're not thinking, how many wellness clients can we have today? How many wellness visits can we have to try to improve their quality of lives from already being great to greater? That's not what is on their minds. Because the reality is that they are not in the business of wellness. They're in the business of illness or sickness. And what I mean by that is that it's not that they're trying to make people sick, by no means. The system is in place to help those who are sick and try to help those who are sick to be better than they are. Now, when we look at how the system is organized, what we will start to understand, or we should start to appreciate, is that in order for somebody to be a part of the system, something has to go wrong first. And so by virtue of that, we consider this system which cares for the sick, and so I will call it a sick care system, because it cares for the sick, not to be derogatory in any way, the system that cares for sick people, because they are waiting for persons to be sick, the main thrust of that system is one of being reactionary or reactive. So with that, we say that the sick care is reactive, meaning that something has to go wrong first before we can have a proper intervention. Whereas true healthcare is proactive. And proactive means you do something before something happens. You go and try to improve a situation before the situation gets out of control. You try to put measures in place to prevent things from happening. That's what being proactive is about. Now, a lot of people look at the healthcare system and say, well, what about blood work? What about labs? What about x-rays? What about MRIs? What about mammograms? Aren't these proactive measures? And the answer is no. They are not proactive measures because they are not preventative measures. Now, yes, when you do blood work or do a mammogram, you're preventing a disease from getting out of control before you're aware of it. But you're not preventing the disease from happening in the first place. Prevention is to prevent the issue from happening, not from worsening. And when we look at the system, if we are waiting to do an x-ray or a mammogram and we see a lump on a mammogram, the disease is already there. And a mammogram in no way prevents the lump from getting there. It only identifies the lump or the disease when it has already happened. An MRI doesn't prevent anything from happening. It only prevents things from getting worse or being able to help to show us what's happening earlier in the process. And that is the key. And so when we look at this, true healthcare is proactive. And you can't wait until things go wrong to achieve this. You have to act beforehand. So are we in a crisis when it comes to healthcare? The answer is yes. We're in a crisis. Why are we in a crisis? Well, we're spending more and more money on healthcare costs and getting less in return. Why do I say we're getting less in return? Well, if you're spending money in healthcare, then I would assume that the goal is to have better health. But over the last 30 years, what would you say has been happening with our society over the last 30 years? Have people been getting healthier or have people been getting sicker? And if you're tempted to say that people are getting sicker, then I also have to now ask you, what makes you say that? Are we having less heart disease than there were 30 years ago? The answer is no, by the way. There's more heart disease. Are we having less cancers than 30 years ago? No, we have more cancer. Are we having less diabetes than 30 years ago? No, we're having more diabetes. By every measurement that we can use, there is more going on right now than existed earlier. And so we're spending more and more on a product, but we're getting less in return. That makes the product a failure. Or not the product really, the approach. Our approach is failing. If we want to be healthy, we have to change our mindset. There are many things that government does that I may disagree with. But one very important thing that the minister or the Ministry of Health and Wellness was trying to impart was that they were trying to impart measures that were somewhat preventative in their approach, which I thought was laudable. And we're talking primarily about the say no to sugary drinks or getting rid of sugary drinks out of our diets or out of our schools, or banning the sale of sugary drinks from our schools. I think that's a beautiful step because that's one of the main ways that people are really sick, because there's just way too much sugar in our diets and sugar has some serious consequences. Now, in order to be successful at transforming health, we have to change the whole paradigm. We have to change the whole approach And you cannot start to change an approach by starting to change behavior. Changing behavior is not very easy to do. But there's something that drives behavior that is probably easier to change or easier to influence, and that is changing your mindset, changing your outlook on life, changing your outlook on a particular situation. Changing the way that you view it will change the way that you respond to it. If your child doesn't want to do homework, don't don't spend your whole time forcing the child, well, do your homework, it's good for you, do your homework, it's good for you. Try to get the child to see why it is necessary to do homework. Maybe you take them to, no disrespect to persons living on the streets, there are different reasons for people to live on the streets. But you take them to a homeless place and you show them that if people don't function adequately in society, and homework is one way that is used to build your knowledge base so that as you go on through the educational system, you'll be more likely to be successful. If you take them to a place that you see people who have failed the system or the system has failed them, you can help them to realize why it's important to do certain things and to avoid certain things and to focus on certain behaviors, because you do not want certain consequences to befall them. And so if you show them that, maybe it will change the way they view it. And if you can successfully change the way they view things, then you have already changed the way that they will behave. And it's as simple as that, right? So let's move forward to some things here, because I want you to make sure that we understand that it's an easy concept to change our thinking or to adjust our thinking. And there are two basic models that thinking occurs on. There's the illness model and the wellness model. The illness care approach is the one that is taught to us primarily by the pharmaceutical industry. The wellness care approach is the one that's taught to us primarily by natural medicine practitioners, if you will. So let's talk through these. If somebody has an illness or they have pain somewhere, the way that the illness care model teaches us to think is to ask the question, how can I feel better? What can I take to feel a little better? And when your question is, what can I take to feel better, then you have already demonstrated that you don't care about getting better, you just want to feel a little better. Or you might care about getting better, but if you ask the question, what do I need to do to feel better? Then you'll end up taking things just to feel better. And these things that you can take to feel better may successfully make you feel better or appear better without you actually getting better. And so it can cause problems in that respect. And so my recommendation to persons, when we look at the whole illness care versus wellness care approach, is rather than asking what can I take to feel better, you can ask what do I need to do in order to get better. Because if getting better is the goal, then you have a better chance of achieving it if you ask that question. What can I do to get better? How about this one? Have you ever seen somebody in the hospital sick and you buy them a card or you buy them balloons? What's usually written on these balloons? Get well soon. Getting well or get well is a concept that we are very familiar with. But the problem with getting well is that it doesn't give people the sense of I have to do something in order to get there. It is almost like people feel like it's a wish. It is some miracle that they're hoping that will drop out of the sky and land in their laps. That is some desire, some hope, some fantasy, some miracle. What's more important than asking what can I do to get well is if you ask it in a slightly different way. And the different way is, what do I need to do in order to stay well? And if you ask it in that way, you have a much better chance of achieving wellness. Because by asking what do I need to do to stay well, you're automatically putting in your mind space the idea that wellness is a long time process. And if I want to maintain it, I have to keep doing the right things over and over again. And if you fail to keep doing the right things, then you're going to be setting yourself up for failure. And that is a problem. That is the problem. So moving forward again, let's look at this another way, because the last one is staying alive. And I know there are a lot of people out there who their goal is to live as long as possible. That's their goal. I want to live to be 100. I want to live to be 95. I want to live to be at least 90. I want to live to be 80, whatever. Length of life is their goal. But you know what? Length of life is not something that we have much control over. What we have control over is length of disease, how long we can live with a particular disease. We have better control over that one, but not so much how long we live. Because how long we live has more to do with how long God grants you life, and less to do with the choices that you make. There are people who smoke every single day and they live to be 90, 100 without any lung cancer or anything like that. There are people who live very healthy lifestyles and they die early. So, how you live your life does not mean that you will be alive for a long time or you will die early. Doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is that it's increasing your chances or your likelihood of living a particular quality of life. And so it's the quality of life that is important, not the length of life. For as long as I live, I would love to be healthy. But if I'm no longer able to be healthy, what's the point in being animated? There's so many people who are suffering with devastating ailments, and they're suffering for several years, and they just won't die because the technologies exist today that can keep them alive. But people are suffering endlessly and needlessly. And so we don't want that. Well, I don't want that for myself. Do you want it for yourself? I don't want it for me. And so the notion of staying well is a wishful thought. And what I'm going to suggest is more valuable than wanting to stay well is wanting to feel well. Because when you say you want to feel well, that feeling well has more to do with how you enjoy the things that life has to offer you. And there are many things in life that I wish to continue doing until I am no more. I don't want to stop partway and not be able to continue some things because I've gotten too sick to do it. No, I want to be healthy enough to do anything I want to do. So, what does that mean? It means that when you look at the way that you will change your mindset, instead of the left-hand side which says feel, get, stay, you look at the right-hand side which says get, stay, feel. That is more important. Feel better? No, you want to get better. Get well? No, you want to stay well. And stay alive? Not so much. More important to feel alive. Having that quality is way more important. I hope I'm making some sense to you guys. Now, the second key is the truth about pain. Is pain a good thing or a bad thing? Well, for some of us, we may treat pain as a bad thing. And there are a lot of people who curse pain and say pain is a bad thing. So let me ask you guys to give me your suggestion as to whether you think pain is a good thing or a bad thing. Please write in the chat, if you're able to do so, that pain is a good thing or pain is a bad thing. Write if you think pain is a good thing. Write it down. Write good thing or good. If you think pain is a bad thing, write bad. Let's see what you guys think. Is pain a good thing or a bad thing? Neris says bad. Alright, so Kathy says it's a good thing because it lets you know that something is not right with you. Tracy says it's bad. Personally, for me, I don't want to create the environment where anyone feels ostracized by your position on this, because really, there are people right across the board. Some say good, some say bad, and some say both. Doreen says both, right? The important point about it to do is this, that pain alerts us that something is wrong and needs our attention. That's what pain does. It lets us know that something has changed, and that's very important. But the problem with pain is that pain doesn't always tell you when something is wrong, and so you can't fully trust pain to be the spokesperson on your situation, because there are some problems that don't come with pain and some problems that do. And if you have a problem that comes with pain, then the pain will do a good job of letting you know that it's there. But if you have a problem that does not come with pain, you're not going to recognize when you have that issue. So feeling good doesn't mean you have good health. Let me say that one more time. Feeling good does not mean you have good health. Good health means your function is good. You're having healthy function. Not feeling good, but having healthy function. And so there are many things to look at regarding that. And the ultimate thing is that we need to start trusting how our bodies are working, not just how it's feeling. Trust how our bodies function, not just how our bodies feel. Because our feelings can let us down. Our feelings can let us down. So let's talk a little bit about this one here. This is what we call the chart of our human, the systems of the human body. And so as we look through this chart, we'll see several different things. One, we have the immune system as one system, digestive system, the cardiovascular system, the integumentary system, and the integumentary system is the skin or the coverings of the body. That's your integument, the skin or coverings of the body. Our respiratory system, our endocrine system, reproductive, excretory system, musculoskeletal system, and ultimately the nervous system. These are the different systems of the body. And if all the systems are working properly, then you're healthy. If any one system, it doesn't matter which, if any one system is not working properly, then you are not healthy. Bottom line. And some of these systems don't come with a lot of pain with it. So it's possible to have a system that's not working well at all, but there's no pain with it. No pain with it. So when we look at the systems of the body, I want you to understand some things here. And the third key is understanding the nervous system, and that the nervous system is the master control system of the body. The nervous system is the master control system of the body. If the nervous system is working properly, it can control, direct, and regulate the function of every other system that we have. our cardiovascular system, our respiratory system, our digestive system. All systems, all of our other systems are under the direct or indirect control of the nervous system, and that's important to note. We call a subluxation a misalignment, or we call a misalignment in the spine a subluxation, because these bones that are out of alignment do impact the health of the individual. This morning while working out, I kind of tweaked my back a little bit. It's very strange. So I tweaked my back, putting down some weights, somewhere in my mid back. It was close to the time that I was to leave. I stretched, I cooled down a little, and then I headed home. But on my way home, I started to get a nauseated feeling. Now, I seldom ever get nauseated feelings. And I had to almost pull over the car and stop. I had to drive extremely slowly and try to breathe deeply and try to get my brain calm so that I would overcome this sensation. At one point, I wanted to step out of the car to see if I could throw up and just get this off my chest. And then it dawned on me that this sensation that I'm having could very well have been because of the strain that I did or picked up in my lower back. And that is, or not my lower back, but my mid back. And that is important to note because these are things that do happen to people. You have a strain in your spine and it results in a change in a function in your system. Oh, by the way, this is what I see every day, so I'm not guessing about this. So the important thing about the nerves of the spine is that the nervous system is governed by the nerves that leave the spine. The spine and brain are the main areas of the spinal cord, of the nervous system. And nerves exit the spine to go to wherever it needs to go to. So all of these yellow bars, yellow lines here, and the blue one right down here, if I can just move my head out of the way, these are all the nerves. Well, the nerves exit between the holes in the spine. Now, if the bones of the spine get shifted out of place, like what happened to me while I was working out today, it may impact the nerves that exit that spine. I know that the vagus nerve exits the spine. No, sorry, let me say that a different way because people are watching. The vagus nerve does not exit the spine. The vagus nerve descends from the brainstem down into the neck and into the abdominal and chest areas to control different organ systems up to your colon, or at least a part of your colon. But you also have other nerves that do the opposite role of the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve controls your parasympathetic system, which is your rest and digest system. Whereas your sympathetic nerves control your fight or flight system. And the sympathetic nerves exit the spine from the thoracic spine, go down to the sacrum before you get to the sacrum in your lumbar spine. And if that is happening, we need to know what we need to do to maintain good health if one of those areas are affected. So we need to understand that bones of the spine can get misaligned, and if they get misaligned, they can interfere with the function of the nerves that exit between them. I'm going to try to show you an example. We call a misalignment of the bone a vertebral subluxation. That's this word right here. And to explain vertebral subluxations a little bit better, I'm going to use this diagram because in here, this opening or these openings are where the nerves exit. This yellow thing here is one of those nerves. That yellow thing is also a nerve. If you look at the middle bone here, that middle bone, that third bone has been displaced inward. When you displace a bone, it closes off the opening where the nerve exits. So if you look right here, that opening is closed off, and so the nerve is being pinched. If you interfere with a nerve, it interferes with the function that the nerve controls. So if this nerve is supposed to go to your digestive system and control your stomach or your liver or your kidney or whatever, then your digestive system will not work the way it should work. And that's as simple as that, right? Hopefully it makes sense. Stresses occur in 3 dimensions: physical, biochemical, and psychological. And if you have a stressor in any of these 3 dimensions, it can impair your function and impair your overall health. So this is important to note. And what's also important to note is that your nervous system is what you use to respond to stress. For example, if a gunman comes into the room, how do you know a gunman is in the room? Because you see the gunman, you hear the gunman, you see the gun, what have you. And what you see gets translated in your brain as a threat, and so your body responds in like manner. So you'll see that the body might respond by making your heart beat faster, or making your muscles more tense, or your eyes wide open, so you can plot your route of escape or attack the person if needs be. And so it's important to understand. So the nervous system helps us to adapt to our environmental stresses. The better our nervous system works, is the better we're able to adapt. We call this ability our general adaptive potential, and I'll use a gap analogy to explain how it works. This is why we get sick, by the way. Every gap has an upper and a lower limit. The lower limit will be at the bottom, the upper limit is at the top. The space between the two is considered to be the gap. Now, the higher up that upper limit goes, the closer you're approaching vitality. And as the lower limit drops down further, it's approaching death. Very important. Now, what causes the upper limit to come down is what we call external or environmental stressors, ES. External stressors cause our lower limit, our upper limit to go down. But the only thing we have as a measure to counteract that is the resistance that we have inside. We call it our internal resistance. Our internal resistance helps us to overcome these stressors. Now, the healthier our nervous systems are, is the better we can resist these breakdowns. Now, provided that all the experiences in life because all of the experiences in life, we hope, I should say, that all the experiences in life exists between the boundaries of our gap. And once that is the case, then we don't break down, we don't get sick. But if it is that certain parts of our life exceed our upper limit to adapt, that's when we get sick. So if you're eating enough fast food, I won't call any fast food places, you know the fast food that you eat. If you eat enough fast food, then what's going to end up happening is that your stressors are going to get stronger or heavier, and your resistance is going to get weaker. And if that happens, it's going to cause your upper limit to fall. And when your upper limit falls, things that were once fine for you are no longer fine for you. That's where you're going to break down, that's where you're going to get sick. And so when we look at it, what we see is these areas. Let's say in this person, that area where they break down is breast cancer for that family. Well, if you live the life that they lived, then when this episode comes around, you're going to break down. And that's because your potential has been lowered because of your stressors been increased and your resistance being diminished. What we need to do is keep our resistance as high as possible and our stresses as low as possible so that we can overcome any of these obstacles in our way. Our ability to adapt, you can read this with me as a quote. Our ability to adapt is determined by the width of our gap. Our gap is our general adaptive potential. The wider that gap is the better we're able to adapt to the stresses in our environment. The narrower the gap is the worse we can adapt. And this is very important. All right. How does chiropractic work? The healthier our nervous system is, the better we're able to adapt to our environmental stressors. And chiropractic helps to improve the function of our nervous system. So we can say that chiropractic helps to widen our gap. But chiropractic is not the only thing that is required to widen your gap. Because if you eat poorly, doesn't matter how well you get adjusted, your gap will stay narrow. If you're chronically stressed, doesn't matter how much you get adjusted, your gap is gonna narrow. And there are a lot of people who are walking around with all this baggage. And because of this, they're breaking down, they're getting sick, and we don't want that. All right? So you want to stay as healthy as possible. Now, in our office, we've invested in technology that helps us to be able to identify these misalignments or these subluxations in your spine so we can make the appropriate intervention or correction. The first one is when she rolls the thing up the spine. That one is to measure the temperature of the skin on each side of the spine. That's this one right here. And then on the right hand side of the diagram, those two paddles measure the muscle tension in the spine. So that's important, right? And we can use that to tell us what's what. Now, people ask because they're curious, right? There are many Jamaicans who don't know much about the profession of chiropractic, and so they ask, what's a chiropractor? What does a chiropractor do? What do they influence? So in answering that, there's well, I'll just say this. What a chiropractor does is that a chiropractor uses the spine as their tool to influence the health of the individual. That's it in a nutshell. The chiropractor uses the spine of the individual or the person to influence their health. How does that work? Well, that can only work if the spine indeed can influence or exert control over the person's health. And then the question is, what do you therefore do in order to achieve this? And that is when we realign the spine, the body oftentimes will get back into balance and start to heal itself. But looking at realigning the spine, if what we say is true, that realigning the spine can have such an impact on the nervous system, then there has to be a way to measure changes in the brain based on the intervention that's done, the chiropractic care that's done. So when we look at this person, for example, in this diagram, you have this lady that was asked to wiggle her left ankle, and on the left hand side before the adjustment and the right hand side after the adjustment, you see a lot of areas of yellow, blue, green, red, all these colors all over the place on this person, on the spine, the brain of this person on the left. Whereas the brain of the person on the right, you don't have very much. I'm going to try to see if I can zoom in a little bit because I want to see if you can understand. On the left hand side is before the adjustment. You can see the areas of lights. And on the right hand side is the areas of lights again, but after the adjustment, when she was asked to wiggle her left ankle, fewer areas of the brain lit up, which means that this brain here on the right was working a lot less in order to do the same task. When somebody works less or does less work but does the same task with less work, it means that that person is more efficient than the other person. And efficiency makes all the difference to productivity. And so when persons have these spinal issues, if we are able to correctly influence that spine, then we can influence their overall function and hopefully make their spine more efficient. Now, chiropractors are not bone doctors, and if anyone of you are listening is listening here and you hear anybody else say that a chiropractor is a bone doctor, please stop them and say no, 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 no. A chiropractor is not a bone doctor. Bone doctors are called orthopedists. They work primarily with the bones and joints of the human frame. A chiropractor works primarily on the spine, but there's no term called spinologists. Well, there might be, I don't know. But that's the, chiropractors work on the spine specifically, not just bones, but they work on the spine and joints. If we are able to influence the function of the brain, and that can change the function of the spine, then that is the nervous system being affected by the chiropractic treatment. And so we say that a chiropractor is not a bone doctor, but a nervous system doctor. Because the work that we do impacts the nervous system more so than it does anything else. And that's important. Now, there are specialists within the field of chiropractic, just like there are specialists within the field of medicine. A chiropractic neurologist retrains the brain. A chiropractor realigns the spine. A chiropractor realigns the spine. A chiropractic neurologist retrains the brain. We use exercise and specialized techniques to improve brain function by using these non-medicinal means. The unfortunate thing is that it doesn't work for every type of condition. There's some conditions that might need medicinal intervention. And so we defer to that, and we have to know how and when to make the referrals. But the chiropractic neurologist is oftentimes able to make changes where the changes were not otherwise going to happen. Some of the conditions that we've worked on include developmental delays, learning challenges like dyslexia, neurodevelopmental disorders like ADHD, OCD, Tourette's, neurodeficits, balance and movement disorders, and brain injuries. These are things that we work with as chiropractors, chiropractic neurologists. Now we're wrapping up now. We have a vision here at Gardner Chiropractic, and that vision is to identify and put people on programs of chiropractic care, identify substations and put people on programs of chiropractic care, and to educate our community. One round of chiropractic treatments is usually about 12 visits. Now, the healthier you are, is the less often you would need to come in. But when you get done with 12 is when we say you've done a phase of care. There are persons, though, that are doing very, very, very poorly, and so we have to see them more frequently. There are persons who have different issues that make measuring these things difficult. It is important that we understand that we have to treat each person as an individual and make sure that we're doing the right thing for each individual, right? So that's why we put people on a program of care. The community of which you are a part is also important to us, and we do what we can to improve how it works. Now, the last key is this. The key to success in getting and staying well is for you to take responsibility for your health and well-being, your own health and well-being. If you have dependent children, then you are also responsible for their health and well-being. So it's incumbent upon you to make wise choices. And if you don't make wise choices, you're going to have a lot of problems for the person, and that child or that individual will suffer because of your ignorance. If you visit our YouTube channel, you will see that we have some videos on here. This one with Joy is one of my favorite ones, and it's a very good video. So I invite you to go to our YouTube channel and find these videos, including this one. Very nice video. Now, we have a special offer for those of us who are here joining us tonight but are not currently patients of ours. If you're joining but you're not currently a patient of ours, then we're going to suggest a few things. One is we are going to give you a special discount, which is a special gift that we have for you to come in for an examination so we can evaluate to see if whether your situation is something that could respond well to chiropractic care, yes or no. And if it does or can respond well, then we'll have to explain to you how and what would be done. So the first thing is, if you have not yet been to our office as a patient, but you're listening to this presentation, we're offering for those persons a 40% discount off the new patient examination. Even if the appointment has already been scheduled, as long as you have not already had the appointment, you're welcome to indicate to the front desk lady that you participated in the patient health workshop, and we see what we can do to help, right, by examining you. Now, you will get a 40% discount, which is a pretty sizable discount. To achieve this, I'm going to write an email address in the chat section. The email address is appointments@gcnjamaica.com. appointments@gcnjamaica.com. Please send an email to indicate to them your interest. Next thing is, if you are an existing member of our patient fraternity, then you too get some special discounts. Not only will you get a 20% discount off your update examination, you also get a 20% referral discount of one treatment per person that you refer. So if you refer 2 people, you get 20% discount off 2 treatments, or 20% discount off 1 treatment. It's the same money, but theoretically you can get a free treatment if you've referred 5 people. So bear that in mind. All right, and you'll get a 10% discount off an entire phase of care. So if you are deemed to have need of or you know somebody in need of chiropractic care, or you just want somebody to be examined, tell them about us. When they come in, they will get a 20% discount off their exam, and you will get a 20% discount off your treatment for everybody that comes in. And I think that's more than favorable, more than memorable. So there are a few pages I want to bring to your attention as I close. The first one is our website. Our website is www dot, well, forget the www, it's just gcnjamaica.com. gcnjamaica.com. The other one for Facebook is, go to Facebook and type in GCN Jamaica. For our radio program, it's facebook.com/ back to health talk show. Back to health talk show. And our YouTube channel is, just go to YouTube and type in Gardner Chiropractic, and it will take you right to our channel. So, just quickly, just to finalize, there are many things that people don't fully understand when it comes to health. Many people have been taught or have bought into the notion that to achieve health you have to take some medication of some sort to achieve it. But the reality is that that's not true. And there are many things that one can do naturally without medications to improve their situation. So it is my encouragement to you to try to seek out more information about chiropractic care. Look for persons who might benefit in your circle and share with them some of your experiences. Because if we can help to communicate this with others, then we have a good chance of doing a good job transforming our world. Thank you so much for joining us. I trust that you learned a thing or two. I wish for you all the best. I just stay on for a couple short seconds just to see if anyone has any questions that I can answer, and then we'll go ahead and answer those questions for you. But thank you so much for your time, and may God bless and keep you.
Untold stories they were left behind. Silent breeze, I got nothing on my mind. This madness is insane. Why you still live in vain? I'm not the one, you're the victim of your own mistakes. It's time to hear the lights under the street lights, under the street lights. I'm not the one, you're the victim of your own mistakes. You're the victim of your own mistakes.
Wherever we go, we'll always know. From the highest mountain to the bottom of the ocean, yeah. Our song is running like a river. Let the current take us there. We've got the melody to set us free, singing destiny. We've got the melody to set us free, singing destiny. Our hearts are like stars, guiding us through the dark. We've got the melody to set us free, singing destiny. We've got the melody to set us free, singing destiny. Our hearts are like stars, guiding us through the dark. We've got the melody to set us free, singing destiny. We've got the melody to set us free, singing destiny.
So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay, won't look away. The storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. Coming for the throne. Coming for the throne. So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I'd never kiss the rain. Ice runs in my veins, won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane? It's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it. I've come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it all. Storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. Coming for the throne.